the big thing we want to lead with, for those of you who've been watching us for a few months, we're on the Browns bandwagon. We've been on the Browns bandwagon since October. We're honestly, both of us are like maybe two of the only people who don't hate on Baker Mayfield. We acknowledge he's not elite, but he's not a bad quarterback in our eyes. But he didn't look great against the Jets. They lose, I believe it was 23-16. They had a drive where literally on 4th and inches, Baker fumbles, Hunt recovers, but it's behind Baker, so they mark it down there. And turnover, Jets run out the clock. They're on a 2-game win streak. So, Joe, I'm curious, after this, how do you evaluate Cleveland's playoff odds after the loss? And do you think they'll ultimately lock up that wildcard spot? Because obviously now the division is out of reach.
Thank you so much for bringing this up, Sam, because this is a topic of great interest to me. Lions or Browns, they need success. And, it's the Browns' year this year. But if you follow the Instagram page, promo there, I put up a post about how going into Week 16, the Browns had a 93% chance of making the playoffs. And then with the loss to the Jets, they got a 56% chance now, which isn't that good.
Yeah, it dropped quite a bit. I just tagged our Instagram in the chat.
Yeah, that's very distracting.
I mean, do you have anything more to say? Like, what's your evaluation on this?
It's not good that you lost to the Jets. That's just not good. Okay, and we can see from the Rams that they look like they're falling apart now due to the loss from the Jets last week. I want to make excuses for the Browns. I do. I want to say, they had no receivers. Their only active receiver was acquired off of waivers 2 weeks ago, and it was
from
Marvin
the Lions, ironically.
Yeah. I mean, they had Austin Hooper, but that doesn't really do much for you. And then
Harrison Bryant.
Yeah, and I didn't know this going into the game, but they're missing half their O-line. I didn't know that. I don't know if it's due to COVID or not, but it's gone. 2 weeks ago, they were one of the best O-lines in the, NFL, according to, some Cleveland websites.
Yeah.
So a bit biased, but I'm going to believe it for now. And then now they're just missing half of it. They're on like third strings right now for half the line. And I'm like, maybe that's why the Jets are able to get through when I watch the game. Because they got 4 sacks on Baker, and 2 of those caused fumbles. So yeah, I mean, regarding the playoffs, it's not looking good. They have to beat the Steelers, and if they don't have their receiver core, then I think it's done. Sadly,
yeah.
Unless the Colts lose too.
Browns fans, I'm sorry. I think you might be in for another year of pain. It pains me, honestly. Like I have no connection to Cleveland whatsoever, and it gives me like secondhand pain and heartbreak. But the way I look at this is right. You're playing the Jets. I don't care if you're on your practice squad receiving core. I don't care if you've got no one. It is the New York Jets. And I think that the best quarterbacks would find a way. Am I saying that I expect Baker Mayfield to be able to navigate through seas of like dysfunction on the offense to be able to win games? No, but it is the Jets. And I don't know. It seems like a very simple analysis, but you watch the way other teams in this league have beaten them down and thoroughly brutalized them. And yes, they're coming off the win against the Rams and there's confidence, but it's not like the defense or the pass rush is that good. Like, you should find a way to win that game. I saw Baker miss numerous throws in that game. It wasn't just Baker, though. Generally, defensively, you're allowing 23 points to the Jets. I mean, that's a factor as well. Granted, you mentioned the fumble, so that gives them short fields and stuff. But in my opinion, I'm not going to give you an excuse for losing to the New York Jets. But at the same time, you do have to acknowledge, right? They did not have a single healthy receiver, and it's not going to make things easier. And I think Baker actually, I mean, in some respects, he made some good throws late. I think he had a couple big throws to Hooper on that last drive. It's unfortunate they fumble on the 4th and inches. I think they lost on an archaic rule, like the fact that right Hunt, they wouldn't let him run it forward and mark it where he fell. Like he fell in front of the first down line, but the rule said where he recovers it is where the ball goes. I think that's ridiculous. But
Wait, is
you
that
have
what
to win
happened?
within the rule book. Yeah,
Is that what happened?
yeah, that's what
I
happened.
didn't
So
watch the end of
Baker
the game.
fumbled. Yeah, Baker fumbled and Hunt scooped it up. But they marked him where he scooped it up because that's apparently the rule. Like I didn't fully understand it, but it was ridiculous, and it just stinks because I think the Steelers are going to win that game. You're talking about the Jets pass rush infiltrating the pocket. Imagine what the Steelers one is going to do. The secondary of Pittsburgh is not great, so maybe if your receivers come back, you've got a big chance. But I think even if you're healthy or as healthy as you can be, I don't see them winning that game, especially with the confidence the Steelers have coming off that comeback win. And also Cleveland secondary is so bad that despite the predictability, I don't think it'll matter.
Yeah. Also, let's take into account quickly. I'm going to take the Brown side for this week. Let's take into account that the Steelers lost to the Bengals,
Yeah, facts.
And I mean, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, look, you can't. I mean, it's not as bad as losing to the Jets, But actually, you know what? The Jets actually have a healthier lineup now. Thanks, and the Bengals are like, I don't even know who the quarterback is. Like
the Bengals have won more games and they've won 2 in a row now, buddy.
They've won 2 in a row. I don't give a crap. Who did they beat last week?
They beat the Texans.
Yeah.
Texans aren't good, but Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback, so
it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, first of all, we all know Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback, but they have no
you can't
defense.
win with nothing.
They have no defense.
Can't win with nothing. Yeah.
But the Bengals beat the Steelers, who have a defense, and they're actually supposed to be good. So unless the Steelers gave them the win to a nobody quarterback, now I don't know who the quarterback is. I don't want to call you nobody. You're doing a great job.
They've literally switched their quarterback like 3 times.
But to a nobody quarterback, I think the Browns might have a chance because these Steelers are falling apart. Okay, no,
you're right.
Good job beating the Colts in comeback fashion. Great. Love to see it. It makes for good watching. But that you still have 3 losses after going undefeated, and that's not good. And they weren't.
You're right.
They weren't to the best of teams. So I mean, I'm going to say the Browns have a chance in this game.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying that the Browns don't have a chance. I mean, look at the sheer evidence here. For one, you're looking at the fact that the Browns defensively aren't terrible. Their secondary is bad. And I think that will be a problem. And that's my issue, right? The problem with the Steelers is they can't run the football. It doesn't matter if they can't run if your secondary can't defend. The teams that have had the most success outside of Cincy in Washington, for example, and the Bills have had good secondaries. The Browns terrible. So I'm not gonna discount that, but like it is a decent team. The pass rush is good. If you get to Ben, pressure him, prevent him from throwing to some of those receivers. Maybe Deontay Johnson gets butterfingers again. Maybe Juju dances on the logo and decides to throw everyone off their game, although I think he said he'd stop doing that. But it's just like I lean Pittsburgh just because, right, the momentum's with them. Their biggest strength can't be neutralized, and Cleveland might not even have a healthy receiving core. So there's just too much uncertainty in the Cleveland game plan for me. Do I want them to win? Do I think they can win? Absolutely. But I just wouldn't pick them if I'm a betting man, which I'm not. I'm not picking them.
Now, Sam, this is an important question, and it's going to show the lack of preparation for this question I did. But Jarvis Landry and the receiving core are out because of contact tracing, correct? Or do they actually have COVID?
They're high-risk contacts. High-risk contacts.
Okay, so they haven't tested positive for COVID, which is good news for this week.
Truth. We have not heard anything about a positive test.
That's good. That's great. Okay, I will definitely give the Browns more of an edge than I'm giving them now if they get their receiver core back. and
I agree with you.
some O linemen, you know, because
Just
that
get their whole offense healthy.
get the offense healthy. You know, if the banged up Bengals and their crappy O line can do it, then you should be able to do it.
You're right.
Yeah,
And it's not out of question. Now, also, we're factoring the Colts have a game to win. Granted, it's against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they're locked into the #1 pick, so maybe they actually try this week.
they also already lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 1.
Yeah, I mean,
So
and that was a long time ago, but you never
you
know.
never
Things
know.
could
You
get.
never know.
I think it's safe to say Indy will win,
Mm-hmm.
but you never like maybe Jacksonville says we're locked into the 1. Screw it, we'll try to go out and win this game. I think you can bet Indy will win. So it really comes down to if you're Cleveland, you control your own destiny. You have to win that game, and I'm just hoping that Baker can prove me wrong,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of sick of seeing Cleveland fans suffer.
Yeah, it all comes down to the win. It's a must win, or risk Indianapolis losing, which is most likely not going to happen because it's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You're
If
right.
if
And Joe,
Indianapolis hasn't learned from their mistake, then I mean, they're what are they doing?
Phillip Rivers throws 5 picks.
They just let James Robinson run 50-yard touchdowns, or cease to
Well,
injured.
yeah, and Joe, I wanted to actually segue, right? We touched
Yeah.
on this earlier with Baker Mayfield. We kind of touched on how much to blame. We both kind of said it's not fully his fault, and I'm with you on that. But do you think so? Say Cleveland wins and makes the playoffs, or a miracle happens and somehow Indy loses, which we're probably not going to bet on. But say Cleveland makes the playoffs for the sake of argument. Do you think Baker Mayfield can actually achieve playoff success this season? Maybe not. And by playoff success, that means maybe winning a game. Because, right, I don't think anyone's going to bet on the Cleveland Browns making the AFC Championship or beyond.
Yeah. This year, if they do make it, like take the dub, not the actual dub, because if they do make it, they're most likely going to go up against the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, and
And
that's not a good.
I don't see any way you're winning that. Okay. But what I am saying, like, take the dub and making the playoffs. For the first time in like 13, 17 years.
It'd be in forever.
It's been a long time. It's definitely a good stepping stone to have for a franchise like the Cleveland Browns, who just a few years ago, as we all know, went 0-16. Now, if they don't make it, then I mean, that's just going to be heartbreaking. I'm not prepared for them not making the playoffs. They've been, in my playoff picture for so long. I don't know, Sam. I can't. No.
It'd be a very Cleveland thing to do.
I'm gonna cry.
I honestly would be pretty upset too. But my thought on this is depends on who you play.
Yeah.
If you're somehow playing Pittsburgh, which I guess would require Buffalo to lose 1 or 2 down the stretch. If you're playing Pittsburgh, I think you actually have a reasonable shot. I mean, we've both said they can beat Pittsburgh this week, and in the playoffs, with hopefully a healthy receiving core back, I think that's a very winnable game if they don't have the receiving core this week. The big issue for me is, as you've touched on, Buffalo. I don't see a scenario where they're gonna beat the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen has evolved so much as a passer. We've talked about the secondary being bad. The Bills' O-line is much improved. And, I mean, look at that. Just even the run game for the Bills, Singletary and Moss aren't going to give you much, but Josh Allen out of the option will give you plenty. I just don't see the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield being able to break down the Buffalo Bills defense, which has been much better later in the season. Hey y'all, thank you everyone for watching. If you want to see our last video, click here. If you want to see our next video, click here. And if you want to subscribe, click on my face.